The wine glasses were already poured when Justin Baldoni stepped inside that Tribeca loft. Soft lighting, expensive quiet, the kind of place where nothing bad is supposed to happen. He thought it was a conversation, clearing the air, colleagues talking like adults. Instead, he walked into a room where power was waiting for him. Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and sitting there too, Taylor Swift, Hugh Jackman. No lawyers, no warning, no exit. That was the moment everything tilted. Not on camera, not in public, but behind closed doors, where Hollywood does its real damage. Hollywood loves to pretend it's chaotic, messy, unpredictable. It isn't. It's cold, precise. And when it decides you're a problem, it doesn't yell. It erases you. Ask Ryan Reynolds. 3 films, gone. Not delayed, not creative differences. Dead. A Ferris Bueller spinoff, nostalgia gold. A sci-fi project called Area 51. And Eloise, quietly shoved off to Netflix like an embarrassment no one wanted to explain. Paramount didn't flinch. That's the part that should scare you. This is a studio that had a first-look deal with Reynolds' company, Maximum Effort. They were invested, financially, reputationally, emotionally. And then, overnight, they weren't. Why? Because Blake Lively's lawsuit didn't just name Justin Baldoni. It cracked the Reynolds Lively brand wide open. Hollywood doesn't fear lawsuits. They insure for those. They fear discovery. Texts, emails, private meetings. Who said what? Who pressured whom? Who coordinated? Who walked into that Tribeca loft knowing exactly what would happen? That night stops looking like a misunderstanding. It started looking like a setup. And once that idea takes hold in this town, you're done. Justin Baldoni didn't have Ryan's leverage or Blake's access. He didn't have a billion-dollar pop star in his contacts. He didn't have Hugh Jackman's phone number on speed dial. He walked in alone, outnumbered, outranked, surrounded by people who could end him with a word. That's not conflict resolution. That's theater, a show of force, a reminder of who matters and who doesn't. And later, when lawsuits surfaced, when timelines started overlapping, that meeting didn't fade away. It glowed. Because intent matters, and power used quietly is still power. Then Hugh Jackman disappeared. Not publicly, not dramatically, just gone. No red carpets, no Instagram jokes, no mutual praise. A bromance that had been milked for years evaporated like it never existed. People noticed. Hugh Jackman doesn't panic. He calculates. He'd already taken a hit, his marriage ending under whispers he didn't control. The last thing he needed was to be associated with a situation that smelled like manipulation. And that Tribeca night? He was there. Silence became his safest move. Hollywood loyalty lasts exactly as long as the risk stays low. The moment the risk spikes, people vanish. That's not betrayal. That's survival. Ryan Reynolds didn't notice at first. Or maybe he did and pretended not to. He kept joking, posting, smiling. The smirk still polished. The captions still trying. But something changed. Comments turned off. Not limited, off. Because the jokes weren't landing anymore. Because people stopped laughing with him and started laughing at him. Ryan Reynolds built a career on likability. Not depth, not range, charm. He wasn't the best actor in the room. He was the safest. But safety disappears the second your name comes with an asterisk. Look at the filmography. Outside Deadpool? Expensive, forgettable projects. Red Notice, The Atom Project, Free Guy. A blip, not a legacy. Studios were already questioning the numbers. The lawsuit just gave them permission to walk away. And Blake? Blake Lively has always controlled the edit. The eye rolls played as quirky. The sharpness framed as confidence. The power disguised as charm. Until it wasn't. Because when Justin Baldoni refused to settle, something snapped. This wasn't about money. It was about admission. And Justin won't give her that. A federal judge called them into a settlement conference. Standard procedure. Required. Meaningless. Unless one side caves. Blake didn't want compromise. She wanted closure on her terms. Justin wanted vindication. That's the nightmare. Because vindication requires truth. And truth doesn't care about branding. If this goes to trial, Blake Lively takes the stand. No stylists, no rewrites, no Ryan whispering jokes beside her. Under oath. She will be asked about that night in Tribeca. Who was invited? Who wasn't warned? Who knew Taylor Swift would be there? Whether Hugh Jackman was meant to intimidate or support. She will be asked about texts, direct messages, quiet favors, calls placed before headlines appeared. And here's the part that terrifies her camp. Lying isn't a scandal in that room. It's a crime. One contradiction, one slip, one "I don't recall" that doesn't hold up. And suddenly, Ryan isn't just a husband. He's a witness, a business partner, a participant. If she falls, he falls with her. That's why Paramount ran. That's why Hugh vanished. That's why Taylor Swift hasn't said a word. Silence isn't neutrality. It's distance. Behind the scenes, the cleanup started. Too clean. Trailers with no negative comments. Threads scrubbed. Criticism erased before it could breathe. Industry watchers noticed. You don't get universal praise online anymore. That era is dead. When it happens, it smells like money. PR firms flooding platforms, deleting dissent, manufacturing calm. But calm doesn't convince people. It alarms them. Because when everything looks perfect, people ask why. And screenshots don't disappear. The smear against Justin Baldoni followed a pattern. First whispers, then headlines, then anonymous sources. It worked, briefly, until journalists started comparing notes, until reporters admitted they'd been pressured, until outsiders realized the timing was too perfect. The tactics meant to bury him became evidence. Public sentiment flipped. Hard. Not because Justin is a saint, but because people recognize bullying when they see it. Hollywood forgives almost anything, except getting caught. Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively believed they were untouchable. Too charming, too connected, too beloved. But Hollywood doesn't protect people. It protects money. And once the brand cracked, once the image stopped selling, the doors closed quietly. No announcements, no apologies, just absence. Justin Baldoni walked through fire and didn't beg, didn't fold, didn't disappear. And that's what scared them most. Because influence only works when the other person believes in it. Right now, Blake is walking toward a courtroom where the edit belongs to someone else. Ryan is discovering how fast a smile loses value. And Hollywood is doing what it always does, stepping back and watching. The silence tells you everything. Because when the phone stops ringing in this town, it's already over.